Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on a really fascinating journey. We're diving into the wisdom of Rumi's Masnavi, Book 1.
A truly profound text.
Absolutely. And our mission really is to unpack Rumi's poetry, his symbols, his metaphors, all those spiritual lessons, and, connect them to your personal insights, your life today.
Yeah.
Because this part of the Masnavi, it really digs into that age-old question, doesn't it? How do we balance relying on destiny or faith with the need for, effort, human exertion?
It's a core tension. And what's so brilliant is how Rumi immediately gets us thinking, primes us to look past the surface.
How does he do that?
Well, he has this incredible knack for using these vivid stories, these parables, to make really deep abstract ideas feel, tangible, relatable.
Right.
So right at the start, he hits us with examples of deception. The hunter's whistle that sounds just like a bird, or sea vapor that thirsty travelers think is water, or even fool's gold looks great until you test it.
Okay, so setting the stage.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, pay attention. It's easy to be misled, especially, and this is key, about ourselves. It really sets us up to question our own perception.
Okay, absolutely. And then, boom, he throws us right into this classic story of the lion and the prey animals. This kicks off a huge philosophical debate. How does that start?
Right. So you've got this valley, and there's this fearsome lion just, terrorizing all the other animals. They're desperate.
Understandably.
So they go to the lion with a deal and say, look, we'll send one of us every single day for you to eat. No more hunting, no more terror.
A pragmatic solution born out of fear.
Exactly. But this deal, it unexpectedly becomes the spark for this much deeper conversation about, fate versus free will,
Right.
destiny versus effort.
Right, because the lion agrees, but then the animals themselves start arguing. They bring up this idea of, fatalism, right? Total trust in destiny.
Precisely. They start saying things like, precautions can't prevent what God decrees. They think trying to be safe is just extra bother. And they even say they'd prefer to be dead just like a pawn, protected from the Lord. Basically, why struggle if it's all mapped out anyway?
You can kind of see their point from a certain angle, that desire to avoid struggle, to just hand it all over.
Oh, definitely. It's a very human impulse. There's a comfort in thinking, well, if it's meant to be, it'll happen, so why knock yourself out? It looks like surrender.
But is that what Rumi's getting at? Is blind faith enough?
Well, that's exactly what the lion pushes back against. It comes back hard, quoting the Prophet Muhammad, trust God, but still make sure your camel's tied.
I love that. It's so practical. It's not about not trusting.
Exactly. It's a direct challenge to that passive fatalism. It's saying trust and action go hand in hand.
It reminds me of, hoping you'll pass an exam without actually studying. Trust is good, but...
Right. And this is the crucial balance Rumi explores. The lion argues that using your effort, your exertion, isn't a lack of trust. It's actually a form of gratitude.
Gratitude? How so?
Because you're thanking God for the strength, the abilities you've been given to act. Rumi puts it beautifully. Exertion's thanking God for strength to act, while fatalism spurns it. That's a fact.
I see. So ignoring your ability to act is like rejecting the gift.
Precisely. It makes you ask, what does trust really mean if you're not engaging with the tools you have? Are you truly trusting or just waiting?
But the animals, they don't give up easily, do they? They push back again?
No, they dig in their heels. They offer these anecdotes, stories of human plans going wrong to prove their point.
Like what?
Well, there's the guy who locked the door but with his foe inside. A perfect image of useless precautions.
Ouch. Okay.
And they even bring up Pharaoh trying to kill all those babies, but Moses, the one he feared, ends up safe in his own house. Their point is, see, our best efforts are useless against fate.
And this leads to a deeper point about human sight, our perception. They say our vision has such flaws.
Yeah, they imply that real fulfillment, real truth, only comes when you annihilate your vision in God's sight. Surrender your limited view for the divine one.
So it's not just surrendering action, but surrendering our whole way of seeing.
That seems to be their argument. Let go of trying to control or understand everything based on our flawed sight. Make space for the bigger picture.
But the lion, still not buying it.
Not at all. The lion comes back strong, championing effort again. It says God gave us a ladder right before our very eyes. We must climb rung by rung.
Use what you've got.
Exactly. It gets quite sharp. When you have feet, why make out that you're lame? When you have a pair of hands, why do the same? It's a wake-up call against laziness disguised as piety.
Use the gifts you have. Don't pretend you don't have them.
Right. And Rumi uses this wonderful metaphor. A king puts a spade in his slave's hand.
Okay.
The king doesn't need to say dig. The spade is the command. Our abilities, our hands, feet, minds, they're like that spade. They're God's silent command to act, to engage.
That really makes you think. Are we ignoring the spades we've been given? Treating them like decorations instead of tools?
It's a powerful question to ask ourselves.
So after all this philosophical back and forth, this debate, Rumi throws in a twist. It's the hare's turn to be the sacrifice. Why the hare? It seems so weak.
And that's exactly the point. It is the pivot. The other animals expect the hare to be terrified, resigned, they're skeptical.
But it isn't.
No. The hare speaks with this surprising, quiet wisdom. It says, "My friends, by God I've been inspired, a weakling's learned strong views." Right away it signals this isn't about muscle.
Ah, okay. Inner strength.
Precisely. The hare gives examples. God teaching the tiny bee to build its comb, the silkworm to spin its thread, even Adam learning deep truths from God.
So knowledge, inspiration. These can be stronger than physical power.
That's the core insight. It's not about size or strength, but about inner wisdom, maybe divinely inspired wisdom. Like Rumi says, a jewel dropped in your heart's deep core, an inner light.
And Rumi really hammers this home, this difference between the outside form and name and the inside, the soul, that rare jewel.
He does. He uses the image of a painting, looks like a person, but no soul.
Right.
And then, brilliantly, the example of the dog of the companions of the cave. Physically, maybe unremarkable, ugly form, Rumi says, but through connection to the divine, it reached the height of animal perfection through God's light.
So it's what's inside that truly counts. The inner essence, the connection, not just the packaging.
Absolutely. It's about what you carry within.
So how does the hare use this inner wisdom against the lion?
Well, it puts that inspired intellect into action. First, it delays going to the lion, making the lion impatient and angry.
Okay, clever.
Then it leads the lion to a well. And it tells the lion there's another powerful lion down there, mocking him, challenging him, with the hare, supposedly.
Luring him to the well. That feels symbolic.
Oh, very much so. In Rumi, wells often symbolize depth, introspection, purification, but also traps. Here, the hare uses intellect, inspired insight, to completely outwit brute force. Mind over muscle, spirit over flesh.
In the climax. What happens when the lion looks in the well?
It's incredibly dramatic and so insightful. The lion, consumed by its own pride and rage, peers down. And what does it see?
Its own reflection.
Its own reflection, yes, with the hare beside it. But in its fury, it thinks it sees its rival. And it leaps in to attack its own image.
Wow. Destroyed by its own reflection.
Exactly. And Rumi draws the lesson out so clearly. The things you see in others which offend are just your own faults shown through them, my friend.
The mirror metaphor.
The ultimate mirror metaphor. Believers are each other's mirrors, Rumi states plainly. The lion's real enemy wasn't another lion. It was its own self, its pride, its carnal soul. That inner lion.
So the lesson for us,
Yeah.
for you listening, is profound self-reflection.
Absolutely. Before you lash out at the world or someone else, look in the mirror. How much of that enemy is actually you, your own projections, your own pride, your own flaws? It's a call to examine how our inner state shapes our reality.
That's huge. And Rumi keeps exploring perception, right, with the hoopoe and the crow.
Yes, another fascinating little debate. The hoopoe boasts about its amazing eyesight, how it can see water lying deep beneath the land. Super perceptive bird.
Oh, okay.
But the crow challenges it, maybe a bit cynically, and asks, if you're so sharp-eyed, how did you get caught in that simple snare?
Good question. If you can see water underground, surely you can see a trap right in front of you.
Well, the hoopoe's answer brings us back to destiny's role. It says, when fate decrees, our brain sleeps in its spell, the sun's eclipsed, the moon turns black as well.
Ah, so even the sharpest sight can be clouded, overridden by fate.
That's the idea. There are times when divine will or destiny simply overshadows our own abilities, our perception. Rumi even links it to Adam forgetting the prohibition. Despite clear warning, his perception failed him at the crucial moment due to that overriding decree.
It's humbling. Suggests we're not always fully in control of our own awareness.
Exactly. And this ties into how we perceive reality itself, the difference Rumi talks about between outer sight and inner light.
Right, he says, vision's light comes from light inside your heart.
Yeah, and also that idea about opposites. All hidden things by opposites are known. We only know light because of dark, joy because of sorrow. And since God has no opposite.
God's hidden on his own.
Profound.
It suggests reality is understood through contrast.
And not just contrast, but constant change. Rumi talks about the world being renewed with every breath, though we can't tell.
How does he illustrate that?
With the image of sparklers twirling around, the speed creates the illusion of a solid circle of light. Right. He suggests existence is like that. It looks stable, continuous, but it's actually this incredibly rapid, constant renewal, a moment-by-moment unfolding of creation. Our reality is way more dynamic than we usually perceive.
Okay, so after the lion is gone, defeated by its own reflection, the hare tells the other animals they must be celebrating.
They are. They're overjoyed. Freedom at last. But the wise hare immediately dampens the mood.
Oh, what does it say?
It warns them, don't rejoice in wealth that's temporary. A worse foe still remains for us inside.
Whoa. Talk about a party pooper. But an important one. The external threat is gone, but
the internal one remains. And this is where Rumi introduces that critical concept, the greater jihad, the real struggle.
which isn't fighting external enemies.
No, it's fighting the enemy within, your carnal soul that's hidden from our sight, our own ego, our lower self.
He calls it a dragon.
An insatiable dragon wishing harm, yes. It makes the world a morsel, swallows it, then screams, is there not still another bit?
That's a terrifyingly accurate picture of unchecked ego and desire, isn't it? Never satisfied. Always wanting more.
It really is. It's that part of us that consumes and consumes, but is never truly fulfilled.
And the conclusion Rumi reaches about this inner battle. Can we win it on our own?
It seems not entirely. While our effort, our struggle against it is crucial, Rumi says, ultimately, it's God who must deal out the fatal blow. Who else can pull the string to fire this bow?
So we fight the good fight internally, we exert ourselves, but the final victory over that deep-seated ego that requires divine help, divine grace.
That's the profound implication. We strive, we struggle, we climb the ladder, but the ultimate transformation, the slaying of that inner dragon, comes from beyond our own limited power.
Wow. Okay, so this journey through the Masnavi has covered so much ground, from that tension between trust and effort,
Finding that balance, effort as gratitude.
to the hare showing us inner wisdom trumps outer strength, and that incredibly powerful mirror lesson from the lion in the well.
Recognizing our own faults reflected back at us,
Huh.
crucial.
And finally, landing on this idea of the greater jihad, the lifelong paramount struggle against our own inner dragon, our carnal soul.
A battle that demands our full attention, our effort, but also our humility in seeking divine assistance. It's really about conquering that lion within us.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. Where are you fighting an external lion? Could it possibly be, as Rumi suggests, a reflection of something inside you, something you haven't faced yet?
It's a powerful question for self-discovery. How often do we mistake our own shadows for monsters outside?
Something profound to reflect on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope you continue your own journey with these ideas.